Welcome back to Spaces Uncovered. I can't believe we're on episode 3 already. Time flies, even in a year of a pandemic. But let's take a second to talk about these nomination videos, because some of them are getting real interesting. We had Amber Kingsnorth from Make in Tears. She created a puzzle to reveal her nomination. I mean, only a designer would come up with something that creative. But let's talk about this episode. So on stage today, we have the star of episode 3, the interior designer and associate, Sara Remocker from DIALOG. And DIALOG, of course, is a firm that I hold close to my heart. But Sara, today on the show, she's going to help us uncover the project Capu Lonsdale. And that project is a success story of how to future-proof your design. So happy to have you here, Sara.
So nice to be here. Thanks, Alexa.
So how did you get started as an interior designer?
Oh, yeah. After high school, I actually went to art school for a year in the UK, and then I went and did my bachelor degree at Ryerson for interior design. And while I was there, I had an opportunity to do a semester abroad at Manchester Metropolitan University. So I went back to the UK, did a semester there, and one of the things I had to do was work experience. So I actually sent over 30 resumes out, and I got one response back, and which is, I guess, all you need. And I ended up getting a job, an internship at a company called Abbey Holford Rowe. And so I did that over the summer, went back to Ryerson to finish my degree, and in that time, they offered me a job after I graduated. So packed my bags, got back on a plane, and went back there. And actually through that year, that company went through a merger and is now known as, a lot of people know them as IDAS. So that's actually how I got started.
So I understand that the project that we are uncovering today is the Capilano University satellite campus in the Shipyards building in Lolo. So tell me, why was DIALOG so excited to work on this project?
It was a really exciting project for us because it really spoke to our value set at DIALOG, which is to impact our communities and our environments meaningfully and through the design experience. And so that really excited us, as well as the fact that our architecture team was doing the Shipyards building. So we knew how great and how fun this new gentrification of this area was, and it was exciting to be part of it.
And were you tasked by the client team to tie in the design vision from the Capu Lonsdale satellite campus to the Capilano main campus?
Yes and no. They wanted the two to feel connected, but they really wanted the satellite campus at Lonsdale to have its own unique identity. I guess you could say that it started with a sketch. So our planning team had been working on the master plan for the main campus, and they did this really nice partie sketch where it was these buildings nestled within a forest. And we looked at that and thought, wouldn't it be interesting if we sort of flipped that notion and brought the forest into the campus at this new satellite campus, really interweaving that idea of the experience of wandering through a forest while you're in the built environment.
Beautiful. It sounds like the concept is a great connector between those two locations. And how does the aspect of education and future-proofing play into this?
Yeah, thank you. We were actually really excited and felt that this concept really did speak to the essence of what makes Capu unique. We also wanted to acknowledge that learning doesn't always need to happen in the classroom. It can happen in so many other environments. Creativity and inspiring learning environments really can be bridged by incorporating the aspects of nature and bringing that inside to create a sense of place. And so that idea and that notion of, looking at this as a flex space, one that could really diversify and be inclusive and open its doors to the wider community to accommodate events and functions, really set it up to be able to continue to evolve as the needs of both Capu and the community shifted over time.
And with such a prime location and the DIALOG values of community building that you mentioned, how does your programming increase the accessibility of the campus to the greater community?
Yeah, great question. first, we really considered the site, the orientation, the building, the immediate community businesses and services. We wanted to create a campus that was complementary to the neighborhood, but also then created additional opportunity to that at the main campus. And so through a really strategic approach to multifunctionality, flexibility, and agility, through the use of movable walls, we were able to pack a lot into such a small amount of space. Again, so different programs could be accommodated as the university's needs shifted over time, as well as to really maximize the types of uses that the space could be used for by whether it was staff, faculty, students, visitors. And so really the notion was wanting to expand it beyond its physical borders.
So Sara, what is unexpected about this project that you wouldn't necessarily know unless you're part of the design or construction journey?
Yeah, actually I think what's quite unique about this project, and if you're a designer, you know how near and dear concepts really are to a lot of the decisions you make through a project, but for this one it was that metaphorical connection between your journey through lifelong learning and education, as well as what an adventure through the North Shore Mountains could look like. And we expressed this concept through every aspect of this project, from the way we approached the planning strategy and the architectural form of the space, down to the materiality and the detailing with a little bit of, whimsy and fun in there. Each destination point throughout the space not only represented different points you might encounter on your adventure through the mountains, but it also represented different services and opportunities that you needed to either support or elevate the learning experience. So some examples of this would be, right starting at the entry, it was that idea of the trailhead. So, or your beginning of your educational journey, and so that idea of blending that urban and natural environment really is strong at that entry point. Or that first destination point you get to is actually the Center for Student Success, which is also sort of thought of as base camp, that home base, that place of security. The really fun aspect that we were really excited about was the tree canopy, and that really connected and drew you through the space. And we had these lights that kind of represented birds sort of flying in and out and interacting with this wood canopy. Because in nature, you naturally look up in nature. There's things that draw your vision up, and we find in the built environment a lot of our tendencies is to actually look down. So we really wanted to celebrate the volume of the space, but also emulate that idea of nature, where we really wanted to encourage people to look up when they came in.
That is an extremely visual and powerful concept. I know that often designers put so much thought and purpose into their storytelling and into the concept, but sometimes when the project's done, the concept can get lost in translation. If you were to go back in time, would you have executed the project differently to allow the concept to speak for itself?
Yeah, no. From a physical manifestation of the concept, I think that was really successful. But I guess in hindsight, this is a really good question. We could have worked more closely with CAPU to create a focus and a strategy on how we could get this story out to their immediate and greater communities, whether that be through their website or, how guests are greeted or toured through the space. There's such power in storytelling, and it can be incredibly memorable in how knowledge and learning and information can get passed along. I think it would have been an incredible way to be able to express our spaces through the stories that inspire them.
That's great. And what advice would you give to someone who is challenged with creating a space that is future-proofed?
Sketching. I'm a huge fan of drawing by hand, and I know in a world of technology, and of course, with COVID, we're even more bound to technology, but there's something so organic and fluid around how your brain and your hand interact. And I think what we really needed to understand was what was future proofing for CapU. We had to define that. And I think by sketching by hand, it really allowed us to just kind of sketch, toss, repeat, and just keep exploring and challenging ourselves to really come up with this great solution that could continue to evolve and meet CapU's needs, but as well continue to interface with that local community that they so wanted to be more interactive with.
Got it. So sketching.
Sketching.
I could imagine it'd be very easy just to dive into that Revit model, especially as a younger generation, but that's great advice and powerful results that you've had from it. So, well, Sara, thank you so much for being featured and allowing your project to be part of the show. It's been such a pleasure, and you have a couple weeks to decide who you want to nominate next.
Thank you for having me.
And for all of you watching, your support means the world to me. Stay tuned and subscribe because I'll be launching multiple video clips of this episode with related content for our industry. Thank you again, and as always, be sure to smash that like button.